Good morning, Kinder Scholars. Yesterday we talked about the parts of a book, and today before we start our lesson, we're going to review those parts of the book. Today, for today's example, I have the book, Never Say No to a Princess. Scholars, when I pick up the book, the first thing that I'm going to see is the front cover, the front cover. This is the front cover of the book. The front cover of the book tells me the name or title, tells me the title. The title is the name, the title is the name. I can usually find the title of the book by looking at the front cover because the title is usually big or written kind of fun or in some fun colors. And I can see this title, it's got some very fun font. We've got some capital letters and then some lowercase letters and then capitals again. It's kind of written all over the book. There's an exclamation point. There's a underline for this word. So I can see that that is the title. That is the name on the front cover. The next thing that I find on the front cover is going to be the author's name and the illustrator's name. Usually it'll tell me by, and that is the author. Remember, the author writes the words. And the illustrator, which unfortunately under this book is under the sticker, his name is also found on the front cover. The illustrator makes or takes the pictures. So, on the front cover, those are all that I see. I see the title, I see the author, I see the illustrator, and I usually see an illustration or picture of what the book is about. That is the front cover. Flip the book over, I see the back cover. This is the back cover. This is the back of the book. Again, I see an illustration, and I might see some information about the book as well on the back cover. Next, I'm going to go to this little thin piece right here that's responsible to hold the book together. It is called the spine. This is the spine of the book. It is responsible to keeping all the pages of the book together. Last but not least, if I open up the book, flip a few pages, I get to what is called the title page. The title page again tells me the title, gives me an illustration, and tells me who it's written by, the author's name, and who made or drew the pictures, the illustrator's name. So those are the parts of the book. Let's go ahead and start today's lesson. Today's lesson, we're going to revisit fiction elements. I am so excited to revisit the fiction elements with you because I think they are so fun and so helpful in helping us know if a book is fiction or nonfiction. Remember, fiction is a made-up story, which we have a chant to help us. It goes like this. Fiction is a made-up story. One more time. Fiction is a made-up story. Last one. Fiction is a made-up story. Fiction stories are made up. They are not real. It did not happen. It is something that has been made up. So fiction is just a made-up story. There are 4 elements that we can look for to help us find if something is fiction. We're going to get up and go to our anchor chart for this. Okay. The first element that we have is magic. If a story has any kind of magic, we know it's fiction. It's made up. Remember, when we say the first element is magic, we're waving our magic wand. So, the first element is magic. Good job. The second element is impossible situations. And for this, I have a person lifting up a house. Scholars, anytime there is an impossible situation, such as someone picking up a house, somebody flying, somebody shooting ice creams from their fingers, or eating a million cupcakes and never getting sick, that is impossible. That could not happen. So, the second element is an impossible situation. Put your hands up like you're lifting up a house. It's an impossible situation. Something that really couldn't happen. The third element that we see is monsters or made up creatures like aliens or unicorns. And here I drew a little funny alien guy. Anytime I see a monster or made up creature, I know that book is fiction. Aliens are not real. Unicorns are not real. If I saw an animal with 4 arms and 500 legs in a book, that would not be real. So I know that that would be fiction. That chant goes, monsters are made up creatures. Make your monster face. Ooh. So monsters are made up creatures. Ooh. Become a monster. All right. The last element, element number 4, is animals doing people things like talking or walking or driving a car. And here, to help us remember that, I have a little fish with a microphone. So that is our last element, animals doing people things. If we see in a book an animal wearing clothes or going to school or talking or doing anything like that, we know that that can't really happen. I would love if London could talk to me and, drive a car for me, but she just can't. If she did, that would be fiction. So, ready for the chant? It goes, animals doing people things. Again, animals doing people things. Now, there are 4 different elements that tell us if it's fiction. Magic, impossible situations, monsters are made up creatures, and animals doing people things. But a book doesn't have to have all 4 elements. It can only have one. If it has even one of those elements, then we know it is fiction. We know it is fiction. So it might not have magic. It might not have a monster or made up creature. But let's say it has an animal going to school. Even if it has just that one thing, we know it's fiction. All right. Now that we're all warmed up, we are ready for today's lesson, which guess what? You do not need a piece of paper for. So parents, for this lesson, you will not be using anything in this packet, okay? Today's lesson is going to be reading a book and finding fiction elements. Now, I'm going to read this book and we're gonna find fiction elements together. But after I'm done reading this book, you can read any book that you want and see if you can figure out if it is fiction by looking for any of those elements and talking it through with your parents, with your siblings, with your grandparents, with anybody that's near you. Let's go ahead and jump into this book though today. Never Say No to a Princess, and see what fiction elements we can find. The little princess wore a big sparkly tiara. She slept in a sparkly bed. Her big sparkly wardrobe was bursting with sparkly dresses, and her toy box was filled with big sparkly toys. You see, the little princess got everything she wanted, but nothing ever seemed to make her smile. Ice cream, she shouted. I want ice cream now! And it better be good or else I'll cry. Quick, said her daddy, who was busy being king, or else she'll cry. So ice cream after ice cream was brought from the royal kitchens, but the little princess heaved a great big sigh. Too sticky, too drippy, yuck, too pink, she exclaimed. And look, you've forgotten the sprinkles. Ponies! Bellowed the little princess. I want ponies now, and make them good or else I'll cry. Quick, said her mommy, who was busy being queen, or else she'll cry. So pony after pony was led from the royal stables. But the little princess simply shook her head. Too frisky, too twinkly, yuck, too sweet, she cried. And that one, doing ballet, is a show-off. Then one morning at breakfast time, a big green dragon flew by. Dragon! Yelled the princess. I want that dragon now! Get it, catch it, now, or else I'll cry. Quick, said the royal servants, or else she'll cry. Swish, swish, swish went the royal nets, but the dragon wouldn't be caught. So the little princess tossed her head back, took a deep breath, and we're gonna pause right there. Scholars, what I want you to do is think about what you've heard Miss T read in this book. What have you heard in the beginning of this book that has shown you this book is fiction? Think about what element you've seen. Have you seen magic? Have you seen an impossible situation? Have you seen a monster or made-up creature? Have you seen animals doing people things? Think about it for a minute and turn and tell your parents this book is fiction because, and tell them what element you've seen. Okay, go ahead and come back to Miss T. Scholars, we know this book is fiction because there is a dragon. A dragon is a magical creature. It's a monster or made up thing. It is not real. So we know that this book is fiction because there's a dragon in it. Let's keep reading and see what we can find next. Good job investigating. We stopped here. So the little princess tossed her head back, took a deep breath, and cried. Whoops, sorry. By lunchtime, a river of twinkling tears gushed through the big, sparkly palace. By dinner time, it was an ocean. And by bedtime, the palace went pop! Whoosh went the gurgly water as it swept the little princess far, far away from her home. Let's pause there. Think about what Miss T has read now. What fiction element have you seen? What element have you seen that makes you know this book is fiction? Has there been magic, monsters or made-up creatures, impossible situations, or animals doing people things? Think about it. Turn and tell somebody next to you, this book is fiction because, and give them your answer how you know this book is fiction. Go ahead. Okay. You might have said you know this book is fiction because crying to when a house breaks is an impossible situation. It cannot happen. We cannot cry possibly that much that our house is going to break and there's water, enough water to carry us away. That would be silly. Let's keep going. She found herself all alone in a gloomy wood. Her tiara was bent. Her dress was torn. She had never been less sparkly. I want my mommy and daddy, sniffed the little princess. Just then she heard a swoosh in the dark night sky. The air above her head grew warm, and there, swooping down through the twinkly stars, was the dragon! Dragon! Bellowed the little princess. Take me to my mommy and daddy. The dragon raised an eyebrow. What's the magic word? The little princess thought for a moment. Oh, yes, she said. Take me to my mommy and daddy now. That's not the magic word, said the princess. Fine, said the little princess. I'm going to cry. And she did. The dragon dried her tears with one blast of hot air from his nose. Then he swooshed off into the cave and shut the door. The little princess was puzzled. Crying usually worked perfectly. She wondered what the magic word could be. Then she remembered a word she'd heard a long time ago. She tiptoed up to the dragon's cave and tapped on the door. Will you take me to my mommy and daddy, please? Shivered the little princess. Certainly, said the dragon. But first we need to get you warm and dried. Let's pause there and think about some other fiction elements we've now seen in this book. We have magic, impossible situations, monsters or made-up creatures, and animals doing people things. We've already heard about the impossible situation, about the princess crying so much that she broke her house. And we've also heard that there is a dragon, which is a monster or made-up creature. Can you think of anything else that you've heard since the last pause that might show you this book is fiction? Go ahead and think about it. And tell somebody next to you, this book is fiction because. Scholars, Miss T knows that there's magic in this book because they're talking about a magic word. I also know that this book is fiction because there's an animal doing people things. This dragon, which we already know is not a real creature, is living in a house and talking to a girl. Can animals like dragons or dogs or cats talk to humans? And can humans talk to the animals like that? Can we have a conversation with animals? Say no way. So we know this book is fiction because it talks about magic words and animals doing people things. Now, I will say the word please is very important, but does saying please always mean that you'll get magic or you get what you want? No, it doesn't. It just means it's a nice word that you should say when you're asking for somebody. But if I said, please, can I have 1,000,000 pieces of pizza right now? Is that going to be magic and is 1,000,000 pieces of pizza going to come to my house? No, it's not. Let's keep going and finish the rest of the book to see what other fiction elements the book has. The dragon lit a roaring fire, and they huddled in the orange glow until the little princess felt much better. Time to go home, said the dragon. Yes, please, said the little princess. So back they flew through the starry night. When the little princess awoke, the dragon was gone, but her mommy and daddy were so pleased to see her. Oh, but darling, gasped the queen, we don't have any sparkly things for you. The royal footman coughed politely and handed her a catalogue. Your Majesty's favorite, he said with a bow. Sparkly things for a princess. What would you like, beamed the king. Necklaces, carriages, sparkly shoes. But the little princess didn't look very happy. I'd like to invite a friend to play, please, said the little princess. A friend, said the king. A friend, said the queen. But there aren't any other little princesses for miles around. This is a special friend, said the little princess. She wrote an invitation in her very best handwriting and sent a royal servant off to deliver it. The little princess's friend wasn't quite what the king and queen were expecting, and his table manners left a lot to be desired. But as they ate their sparkly tea, the king noticed something strange. Do you think, he said to the queen, our little princess looks different? The queen peered through her royal binoculars. Heavens, she gasped. You're right. Is she? No. Yes, cried the king. She is. She's smiling. And the little princess kept smiling all day long. The end. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson and that you've enjoyed reading this book with me. Continue to talk with your parents about fiction elements that you see and how you know a book is fiction or made up, not real, and it will definitely help prepare you for first grade. I will see you soon and hope you have a wonderful day.